Okay, now I'm going to show you how to create something like this. So the first thing is I'm going to name it class list program, and I'm going to import random, the library, because I need it to spit out a random student when I want to do that. I also need a few variables. So my first variable is my class list, which is a list of students, but right now it's empty, so it's just the two brackets. Then I'm probably going to have a placeholder variable or a name variable that I'll use multiple times. And right now it's going to be the empty list. And I'm also going to have, or sorry, the empty string. And I'm also going to have something called choice, which is also going to be empty. So this is the user choice. Now I'm going to go ahead and start my program. And I'm going to say while choice does not equal 0, and I'm going to put that in quotes because choice is always going to be a string because I'm going to use input to generate my string. So a 0 is going to be exit, and now it doesn't equal 0, so we're going to go here, and I'm going to print menu, and here are my choices. Print 1, add student. Print 2, delete student. Print 3, let's see, print all students. Print 4, select a random student, and print 0, exit. So I always have 0 as my last choice, and it's always exit. So now I've got a menu, so if I do this, it's just going to keep printing it over and over and over again. Oh, well, choice, I put this backwards, does not equal the exclamation point needs to be before the equals. So if I do this, it should just print this over and over and over again, forever and ever, because I never even asked for a choice, but at least I have a menu. So now I say choice equals input, what would you like to do? Okay. Now, one of the issues here is I need to make sure that the user only selects 1, 2, 3, 4, or 0. But the problem is right now the user can select anything. So they could say, hello, and it doesn't really work, right? So because it's not one of these choices, what I really need to do is make sure that the user can only select these different choices. So I'm going to create a new constant here, which is OK choices. Notice that it's capitalized because I want it to be a constant. And my OK choices are 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so while choice does not, or while OK choices, I see. While choice is not in OK choices, then choices equals input, what would you like to do? So it'll keep asking you over and over, what would you like to do, unless you select 0, 1, 2, 3, or 4. Let's go see if this works. Oops, stop. While choice not in OK choices, so it never gets there. Why is that? While choice not in, because choice is empty right now, so I'm going to say null. I'm going to say choice is nothing, just any word. It could be, foobar. But I think this will work. What would you like to do? If I type 1, it's going to go ahead and do what I expected, which is since 1 is in OK choices, it's going to just keep printing this. But if I type 9, which is not an OK choice, it'll keep asking me what I want to do. Okay, so it makes sure this little line of code here, 15 and 16, makes sure that the choices are either 1, 2, 3, 4, or 0. All right, so that's really good. Now, what do I want to do if choice equals 1? So if choice equals 1, notice I put it in quotes because input returns a string. So this is looking for the string, number 1. So if choice equals 1, then I'm going to say print, no, I'm going to say name equals input new student name. Please enter, okay. Please enter new student name. Okay. And then you enter the name. So it says, all right, great. And then I'm going to add it to the list. So I'm going to say class list.append, which is how I add something. So I'm going to say name. So now I've gone ahead and I've entered the new student name. And then I'm going to say print name, comma, has been added. Okay. And then I'm going to reset the name. So I'm going to make sure that the name is empty now. And it should go ahead and do this. So let's make sure that we can do this. What would I like to do? I'd like to add a student. Please enter the student name, read, and read has been added. Okay, great. I probably need a space above the word menu. So I'm going to add a space up here. And now when I run it, if I add a student, it says read has been added, and then I have my menu with a space. Okay, great. So next thing I want to do is I want to be able to delete a student. So if choice equals 2, notice that I made this if aligned with this if. Okay, it should not be indented because otherwise choice 2 would only be looked at if choice was also 1, which is, a little bit weird. Name equals input. Please enter student to delete. Okay. If name not in class list, then print student not in class. Okay. Else, what we're going to do is we're going to delete that student. So I can't remember how to remove an item from a list. So let's see if I can search for it. So there's clear, there's remove an item by value. So that means I'm going to use the value. Let's see if I can get remove and figure out how it works. So here's some examples. Remove by value. So here's my list. My list is Alice, Bob, Charlie, Bob, and Dave. And I can print the whole list, print list, got it. And I can remove. So if the list is called L.remove, quote, Alice. Okay, so the function I want is remove. Actually, I think it's called a method, technically, because it's a method of the list. But I'm going to go ahead and use remove. So else, I'm going to say class list dot remove. And what am I going to remove? I'm going to remove the name. And then I'll go ahead and print name, comma, has been removed. And I'm going to reset the name again. And actually, I need to reset the name no matter what. So I'm going to say name equals boom. So this is always going to reset the name. So if the person is not in the class, it's going to reset the name. And if the person is in the class, it's going to still reset the name. So let's go ahead and see if this one works. And what would I like to do? I'd like to delete a student. Please enter the student to delete, read. Student not in class. Excellent. Add student. Oops. Please enter. Oh, check that out. So once you make a choice, you need to set the choice to null each time, because otherwise you won't. You'll have the same choice over and over and over again. So let's go ahead and say, when we get to, after we give our list of choices, let's say choice equals null. Okay, null is better than foobar. All right, so what would you like to do? I'd like to delete a student. Who would you like to delete? Read. Student not in class. I'd like to add a student. Who am I adding? Read. Read has now been added. Delete the student. Who would you like to delete? Read. read has been removed. Okay, good. So choice 1 and choice 2 work. Print all students. So if choice equals 3, if choice equals 3, now I better do this. If len, that's the length, if length of class list equals 0, remember I need two equal signs here because I'm testing for a value. If it equals 0, then print the class is empty. Okay. Else, for student in class list, print student. Okay, and actually even before this I could say, let's see what this does. So great, let's go ahead and run it. All right, I'm going to print all the students. Class is empty. Good, I'm going to add a student, read. Good, I'm going to add a student, Snowy. And now I'm going to print all students, read Snowy. Well, I probably should say something before just printing the names. So let's do this. Let's do a line here, print student roster. Okay, now let's try it and see what that does. Stop and run. So I'm going to add a student, read, and I'm going to add a student, Snowy, and then I'm going to say 3, student roster, read, Snowy. Okay, perfect. So I've done choices 1, 2, and 3. And I'm going to select a random student. So how am I going to do that? Back to this line, the same alignment as this if statement here. So I'm going to say if choice equals 4. This is when I print a random student. So I'm going to say if len class list equals 0. So if it's an empty class, then I'm going to say print the class is empty, just like before. Else, I want to select a random student. So I'm going to say print random student, colon, and I don't want it to do a new line, so I'm going to add this comma right here. And who is the student going to be? Well, it's going to be class list. And which item from class list? It is going to be here. I have to do that. Random.randint. So I'm choosing a random integer between 0 and the length of the list, len class list, and I have to put a -1 in here because it has to be the length of the class list. Remember how lists start at 0? So I have to have this -1 in here. And make sure my brackets line up. I've got one bracket facing this way, and oh, in fact, it even highlights it. If I touch that bracket, hold down the Shift key, and then go over it, it actually kind of did something there. It told me that this is the matching bracket, and there's the matching parentheses, and here's the matching parentheses there. So this should work, and I think this will do everything. All right, so now, all right, add student, delete student. So what if I do 0? I want it to exit. Oh, it just gets stuck. So what happens with 0, oh no, it didn't get stuck. The program ended, and so if choice equals 0, the choice is in OK Choices. It doesn't do any of these things. It doesn't print this anymore because choice does equal 0. All right, so it got to this line down here. And if you get here, user wants to exit. So print thank you, goodbye. All right, let's see if it works. All right, can I add a student? 1, read, I can add a student. 2, can I delete a student? Read, I can delete a student. Can I print all students? Well, if the class is empty, I cannot. So let me add a student, read, and read has been added. Can I print all students? Yes, I can. If I choose a random student, it should always give me read. Random student. Oh, it didn't print anything. Random student. So on choice 4, print random student. Oh, I forgot to say print. I need to print this. Print class list. So I need to print somebody here. Or I could just go like this, actually. Print random student. And then this is going to be my random student here. Will that work? I think it'll work. Let's try it. And I'm going to add a student, read, and I'm going to print a random student for random student read. Random student read. Okay, if I add a student, like Grant, and now I say select random student for, sometimes it's Grant, sometimes it's read. Okay, perfect. If I hit 0, do I exit? Thank you, goodbye. All right, this works. So I'm going to go ahead and paste the code, and I'm going to do one thing. It won't make a difference at all, but I'm going to break this into another line so it's easier for me to put it into my document. It'll make this a little bit narrower. This comma makes sure that the print on 47 doesn't create a new line, and everything will be the same and will work. So I'll put all the code there, and this is a kind of rudimentary program that shows you how to create and use a menu, which is kind of cool. And also it shows you how to manipulate and use lists to create a class list and do something useful with it.